Do you have any particularly favourite collaborators? Because it's such a collaborative form, theatre.
Well, it's always, for me, it's working with directors. I don't know if there have been any particular designers. I've enjoyed working with all the designers that I've worked with in South Africa. Uh, they're amongst the sort of older gang now. There's Sarah Roberts and there's Saul Radomski and there's Patrick Curtis who does a lot of design now. Chris van den Berg in the days gone by, and more currently now Dickie Longhurst. I'm having a very nice time working with Dickie. But the ultimate collaboration, I think, happens with the director, because that's the one that you really sort of linked at the shoulder with as you're sitting in that dark auditorium saying, is that all you've got? Is that it? Yeah, well, I'm still working on it. But, and then I've been very, very fortunate. Certainly Francois, certainly Barney Simon at the market, and through the market, a number of really extraordinary directors, including Laura Foote now, who's running her own theatre, and working on productions with, I mean, Athol Fugard is kind of there with all this. People don't know him so much as a director, and that's my experience. Of course, he's this wonderful writer, but I've worked with him more often than not as the director of the play that he's written, and he's always dealt with these plays as though, in his words, I know this writer quite well, I'll have a word with him tonight about this scene, that sort of thing.
Yes.
But he would be the director in the room. He wasn't the writer in the room. And he's a wonderfully challenging person to work with. And probably, what was it, about 10 years ago, I had an extraordinary experience of relighting, don't know for the how manyth time, the island at the Bouffe de Nord in Paris. And Peter Brook was present for the rehearsals and the dress rehearsals and the previews and so on. So I got my notes from Peter Brook, and what was wonderful to me, and this ended up in common, we used to have a ritual lunch with the company and him every day. And I steered the conversation, once we'd started working together, towards what he felt about lighting and so on. And he gave me a whole new lease of life, because he likes bright lighting. And he says, people have paid to see the show, and, like in the island, for instance, I want them to see every drop of sweat. That's what they paid for, and they should see every little rivulet glistening under the lights. And so his presence for me in the auditorium always was, I'd do a kind of a moody sit-up in the prison, and the guys would just be back from having done their day's work, and I'd want a bit of an evening feel. And Peter would come up behind me and say, can you make it a little brighter? And then he'd go away and he'd watch from a different seat, come back and say, a little more. And he kept doing this, kept sort of saying a little more, until it was really glistening. And I think since then, certainly immediately following that, everyone was saying, my heavens, you're lighting bright now. And I was saying, yes, this is it.
I remember many years ago you're telling me that one of your favourite designers was Andy Phillips, who used to light for Peter Brook.
Yes. Wonderful design.
Yeah.
Wonderful design.
How much do you think somebody like Andy Phillips influenced your work?
Well, whenever one goes to see those shows, when you're lucky enough to get abroad and when you can either afford the ticket or you can get in somewhere because you know someone in the production, it's like that was my schoolroom. That was where I would just, most of the productions I'd be spending looking up above the actors' heads and on the sides and where the colours were coming from and where the lights were coming from and what the cue was doing, more than actually into the play, to be frank, very often. But I think from all of those extraordinary designers, my favourite one is, to this day now, because she put in words what lighting is. I only saw 2 or 3 productions she'd actually lit. It was Gene Rosenthal in America, who did a lot of dance lighting, and it's what she spoke about was lighting the air. That if you get the quality of light correct in the room, on the stage obviously, then what took place in the light that you'd created would be lit perfectly, because you'd created that thing in the air, you know. So that for me has always been something that one aspires to. I mean,
okay, so enough of what other people think about lighting. Let's get to what Mannie thinks about
Yeah,
lighting.
yeah.
And you've already obviously started to explore it. But ultimately, what are you trying to achieve with your lighting?
Okay, for me it always starts directly with the text if it's a play, and the director's vision. It's a kind of combination of those things. I read the scripts, I know exactly what everything I can get out of that. And then the most important meeting for me is the first one with the director. The director says, I see this play as, I see this play being, I see this play performing in this, and whether they use, I mean, I've worked with directors who never use light or dark. They use angry and sad and cool and hot, and they don't use the other things that other people use. Then you use other people who just talk in colours all the time. I see it in blue, I see it in rich, rich, rich amber. And you think, yeah, I'll do it. But what do you, where are we going with this kind of thing? And basically, what I find there is that I begin to understand the director's handwriting. And ultimately, the lighting designer's purpose in life, put upon this planet, is to realize the director's vision of the play. Not the lighting designer's vision of the play. It's the director's vision that must be realized on the stage so that it becomes so the work is unified. I think all the design team, set, costume, these days video and so on, but should all be driven by one prime objective, which is, what does the director want to do with the play? How does she see this event?
Right. Do you have any pet hates in lighting?
Pet hates in lighting? Too few channels. Too few dimmers.
Mannie, you always use every light in the building.
You've got to.
That's why
they're there.
I didn't get that memo.
No, that's why they're there. I don't know. What do I hate in lighting? Okay, when I'm seeing other people's lighting, what I hate flashing for flashing's sake. I hate lighting that is drawing attention to itself rather than adding to the enjoyment of the play, adding to this whole thing I've been talking about, adding to the director's vision of what they want to do with the play. So when I go and see something, people say, oh, the lighting is extraordinary in that play. I think, oh, why are they talking about the lighting? Then I go inside and I see, wow, that they've used every kind of, but I've forgotten what I was watching. I've forgotten what that actor was trying to do. I've forgotten everything else, except that I can see this lighting person has done the most extraordinary effects with the equipment that he or she has got. So those I suppose are pet hates. Lighting that takes the attention away, brings attention to itself. I think lighting is one of the team, and together you make greater art.
Do you have a basic formula that you follow when you sit down to actually do a plot, or do you reinvent the wheel each time?
Okay, it's interesting that you ask that. I always start thinking, this set, this play is unique and we should try and do something different. And more often than not, it ends up with the rig looking similar to other rigs I've done. But the starting point is always unique to that production.